Hello everyone, Panchaman here from the ZAP team. Welcome back to our series on the ZAP Airport Creation Toolkit. We're back in Osaka at Kansai International, and today we're going to do the Splatmap. The last time we're going to be using our satellite terrain. So before we get started, we're going to bundle some of our favorite textures along with the Splatmap, with the Splatmap suite. But let me show you how to get textures. Really like this website. It's freepbr.com. You can go to ground, find a bunch of things that you like. There's a lot of other websites too where you can find free textures. You could even get them off Google. But I found one I like here. It's called Mossy Ground. When you go to download it for Unity. So we're going to go ahead and download and gonna just open it up. In the meantime, let's go to Airport Editor HD. I already have a textures folder, but let's make a new one. We're going to call it new texture. And then I'm just going to put this one here. Okay. Now Unity can't use this. We don't really need this. We can delete it. Unity can't use this. Okay. So we have to actually process it into a material or a terrain layer for Unity to use. So let me show you how to do that. Let's go back to Airport Editor. It's downloaded. It's uploaded that into Unity. Let's go to ZAP, Material and Terrain Builder. We'll give it the texture folder, so you could put a whole bunch of these in there. And then let's go to New Textures, feed it that, include the subfolders, do this, and then you could have it make materials, terrain layers, or both. So I'll just show you what that does. It automatically processes based on the different things that it finds, like the names of the files. We're going to hit build. So this could go through an entire folder of like 100 textures if you buy a texture pack or you install a texture pack. This is going to go through it all and assemble everything for you. So now let's go to new textures, and now we have a folder called materials. So here's our mossy ground, and this is ready to go. So now I could take this material and put it on here, and then it would look really strange. Let's undo that. And then it's also made a terrain layer called mossy ground. Now because of the preview one, it thought it needed to make a preview one too. You can delete that. Okay, but it's already set this up correctly in Unity with our correct shader, and everything's already in there. Okay, so let's get out of here now, and let me show you how to use the Splatmap suite. Okay, so to use the Splatmap suite, we're going to go to ZAP, Splatmap suite, and we'll dock it over here. And it's already found our ICAO code. We're going to feed it the inner terrain here, and as you can see, it's already found the location. And we're going to feed it the outer terrain here, and it's found the location. We'll go ahead and hit stitch inner images. This is the same step that we had done for the OSM buildings. Many of the tools will use the stitched image, so you might end up coming here to use the stitch tool first and then come back and use the Splatmap suite later on. So we'll click the button, give it just a second, and then it's going to stitch it and then load it into our tool here for us. And then once the inner one is done, we'll go ahead and do the outer one. And while it's doing that, we'll just go ahead and talk about what it is that we're doing with the Splatmap. Okay, we're going to do the outer. So with the Splatmap, we are taking our satellite image, we're segmenting it into 8 different colors, or 8 different layers of the image. And in those 8 colors, we're going to actually put 8 different textures in there. And so what a Splatmap is it's basically a map of where those 8 textures need to go on our terrain. And so we generate that from the satellite image, we break it down into 8 colors, and then we take it from there. So once we have our stitched images in, we're going to go ahead and actually extract our colors. So we're going to press extract colors inner. You really don't need to extract from the outer, you're only extracting from one of them. Most people, you're going to extract colors from inner unless there's like some colors in the outer that you really want to pull in. So now this is going to go through, it's going to analyze the satellite imagery. It's going to pick out the 8 colors and decide like which ones it should pick out. Now we do have different generation modes that you can play around with. So if you're unhappy with the colors it's picking, you can do that. My recommendation is to start out with just the auto mode, let it do its thing. It's a pretty good algorithm that we wrote, so it works pretty well. And then the next thing I would do before that, like after that, if you're unhappy, is actually go to advanced color settings. And in the advanced color settings, what it does is it'll ask you, like you can set like I want 3 greens, 2 or 3 browns, you know, like this. So, and in the parentheses, I kind of have the best ones for like a typical airport. So you want like 1 or 2 grays, 2 or 3 greens, 1 or 2 browns. You don't really need a lot of other colors, but you can play around with that if you're like unhappy with the automatic. But if you come down here, you'll actually see that these are the 8 colors that it's gone ahead and extracted on the left side. Next is we're going to match these 8 colors to a texture. And so we have our auto match tool. So when you first get it, it's going to be like this. You're going to hit plus and you're going to find the textures that you're going to use. So we've included some of our favorite free textures here. And then let's pick that new texture folder that we used as well. And we're going to hit auto match layers. And what it's going to do is, and it's already done it, but is it's going to go through and match the color as closely as it can to the average color that it finds in there. So as you can see, not all the best matches. You know, we'll certainly come back and adjust this, but this is a good place to start. We're going to hit generate palette asset, and I'll show you what that does later on. And then we're going to come to generate Splatmap. For most of you guys, I would recommend don't use the single layer per pixel unless you know what you're doing. Smooth radius is how smooth it's going to be, and the blend softness is basically how much overlap there will be with textures. So splat maps look really well when there's multiple textures blending together, and so this blend softness is actually how much blending is allowed. If you do single layer per pixel, there's no blending. I wouldn't recommend that unless you know what you're doing. So something like 0.2 is pretty good, and we did generate splat maps inner, and it's generated the splat maps, and we'll just do generate splat maps outer. So that'll do the outer terrain. And so there's 4 layers in each of these 2 splat maps, which makes our 8 layers. Once our splat maps are created, what we'll do is we already have our palette that's like auto entered here, and we're going to hit apply to inner terrain. Now what it's going to do is go through the splat maps, it's going to slice it into 16 tiles, it's going to apply those correctly, the 0 and the 1 to each tile, configure it, and also load the layer palette into it. So this step alone would take a long time. Like you guys have no idea, like splat map creation used to take weeks. Like when we made Memphis, it took weeks to make a splat map. This tool, we've written it so that it pretty much automates the process of making a splat map the way we need to for Tower Sim. And so I really hope that this tool makes it very easy for you to go ahead and do that. And so here's our inner. Our inner is done, okay? And let's do the outer really quick. So we'll press that again. And while it's doing that, you know, you're gonna see like, hey, this, you know, doesn't look exactly the way I want to, and that's okay. I'll show you how we adjust it. The other thing to know about splat maps is that you only really need to focus on the areas that are not going to be covered by your ground model, not going to be covered by your roads, and not going to be covered by buildings, right? So the key area that you actually want to focus your splat map making on is the area in between the taxiways, because that's the area that's going to be the most visible. So for this, let's have our ground model visible. What happened? Are we a little below? Yeah, there we go. Right, because we don't care about what like this looks like, right? Because that's going to be covered, right? We don't care what's under the buildings, and the roads will be made by the road tool, so we're not as worried about that. But like this area here, where you really want that to look good because that's what's going to be visible, right? And you know, we don't want brown mountains because we're not in like Phoenix, Arizona or something. So let's go back to our Splatmap suite and then let me show you. So the way we're going to change this is to try and remap some of these colors. So already I can tell that this green color that we want for our mountains and stuff is being replaced by this like peachy color, and I don't want pea gravel. So just press this button, it's gonna pull these up. I save my favorite textures under Z so it's easy for me to find. And then let's pick something like, you know, I think we want some really green mountains and replace that pea color, so maybe we'll do zgrass 01. I know this dark blue, it's assigning to the water, this texture. It really doesn't matter, our water is going to be covered by Unity water, but I can do the blue just to show that. I think this lines up okay for concrete. We'll see how that goes. This haystack color, I don't know. And then this and this concrete one, this is going to be grass probably. This green color, so I'm going to give it a grass one. This is one of my favorites. Let's try that. And I think this last one too, this light blue, I think is probably going to be some kind of grass. Maybe try ZGround003. It's okay, it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to come back and refine it. So we do generate palette. It's generated, so it's going to automatically load it. You can have as many of these as you want. This is palette 1 now. And then instead of having to hit apply where it slices and does all of that, you just do sync palette. And it's going to update that. And then once you're happy, you can also add it to the outer. Alright, so this is much better now. We've got the blue where we want the blue. We've got more green where we want it to be green. We don't want blue there. But again, actually, like the Unity water is going to cover this anyway. So I think for this, let's pick like a darker color. Maybe, I don't know. Let's try this. Nah, let's try that maybe. See how that goes. Looks like our concrete is doing concrete things. And you can tinker with it a little bit. Let's see. This green color I think is what's showing the most. But yeah, let's do, you know, you just tinker with it. Generate, sync. So you never have to rebuild the splat map unless you change the stuff on the left. Then you'll need to regenerate. Alright, so again, we're not going to worry about the brown, but we're going to see how things look. We can also sync the outer real quick just to see how that's going to look. Because we want to make sure these mountains in the back are looking like mountains. There you go. And then, yeah, it's not terrible. And then somewhere over here it says Kansai. Alright, so that's still preserved. Don't love the texture that I picked, but you know, we can tinker with it, adjust it. So if you wanted to change the colors that it's picking, again, you have in Splatmap, you can change the generation mode. Auto frequency is probably the best to start out with. You can pick the colors, so we don't want like the orange and the pinks and stuff. We can say, hey, we want greens and browns and more neutrals, and then hit extract and then generate the splat maps, and it'll completely redo it, so you can make it look however you want. So I'm just gonna show this as an example. Obviously, like, you'll want to tinker with it and make it look the way you want it to. You can come out here and take a look too and see. And again, we're gonna have a lot of like roads going through here. The big thing is making the mountains look good. So yeah, we can like tinker with it, adjust it, and then all you do is sync palette, sync palette. If you redo the splat map, generate, generate. And yeah, so you can play around with it some more and try to make it look good. I'm actually gonna go back and try doing like maybe 2 greens, 2 browns, 2 neutral, one other, maybe like one blue. Do extract, see how I like that. And then there is a manual picker, so you can use the eyedrop and actually pick out the colors that you want. So that's another option if you prefer a more manual approach. You used to have to like slice out all the colors in Photoshop and everything. It was really painful. And then Terraland has a manual, like semi-similar way of doing this, but it was really painful as well. So this really automates things very well. Give it a second. Okay, let me show you one other thing that you can do with Splatmaps. If you go to Inspector and you go to your terrain and you go to Paint, you can actually go to Paint Texture. And you can actually like pick a texture, let's say concrete or something, or like this asphalt, let's say. And you can actually just take your brush, put the strength up, give it a size you want, and you can actually paint your texture. So let's say we give this a full concrete, and we're gonna build a parking lot out here or whatever. And you'll see Fielder use this technique too, where they manually draw things into their splat map. But you could do this, and then what you could do is, I mean, this is really bad, but just to give you an example of what it would look like, you can layer these textures together. So instead of just this concrete texture here, you can actually say, hey, I want to take this texture and sprinkle it on, but you don't want to just add it like that. So what you do is you drop your brush strength down pretty low. You can even add like a little bit of like a different like brush size, brush shape. So like this like kind of speckled look. And we're gonna take our like darker colored stuff, and we're just gonna take a low strength and just kind of go around, and that's too much. And you can just kind of add a little bit of variation. So now your parking lot looks much more realistic. And you can go back and add like a little bit of something else and add more colors. So you can play around and layer things however you want. And now it looks more realistic. Right, and I hope with that we get you started on making a splat map. This isn't maybe the best example, but just wanted to show you what the tool can do and how to go about using it to make the splat map that you want. Again, don't worry about perfectionism in making your splat map. If you look at Fielder splat maps, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Focus on the area between the taxiways. That's the area that's most seen. And remember, we're going to have roads in, we have buildings in, we have this ground mesh in. So at the end of the day, you just need to do the areas in between. And with that, hopefully this helps you make a splat map for your airport. We'll see you on the next one. Happy airport making.